TV umpire to director, we have a review. Can you rock and roll it for me, please?
Welcome back to Rock and Roll It. We've had a nice long break where we've been able to take in everything that's happened in cricket in 2025 and also look forward now to what should be a very exciting year in 2026. We have first the T20 World Cup followed very closely by an IPL. So I'm sure KK and Sid Monga can't wait for all that to get started. And we've got the, I've got, of course, staples of rock and roll at KK and Sid Monga with me. Apparently, the three of us are PR agents of Shubman Gill. I wish people could have videoed our New Year celebrations because then they would know that if we are indeed agents of Gill, we are not being paid very well. We were hardly celebrating with Cristal and Cuban cigars. So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see some of that money, is
No
all I'm
cav
saying.
no caviar for us.
Yeah. Okay, today we're going to be reviewing the India New Zealand series where India lost 2-1. So New Zealand actually doing the double over India. Of course, the series split between 2024 and now 2026, but India losing to New Zealand in the Test series at home and now in the ODI series. But before we get into why New Zealand won, let's talk about, I think, a topic that a lot of us are thinking about right now, which is Virat Kohli's innings yesterday, where he scores 100 in very difficult circumstances and keeps India in the game, almost takes India over the line. But in the end, I mean, well, not quite almost. They fall well short in the end, but he kept India in the game a lot longer than it seemed they would be. And Sid Monga's written an excellent piece on Cricinfo. So, Sid, I'll start with you. Like, this must rank pretty high up among Kohli's chasing hundreds, right? Even though India couldn't quite get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have said that he's not your sad boy, he's not your tragic hero, but uh, uh, funnily, his two best Test hundreds, according to me, have come in defeats, which was Centurion 2018 and Centurion 2018 and Perth later that year. But yeah, and this one again, it has to be like really high because he was very expertly kept away from strike by the New Zealanders. He was getting singles easily, but they found ways to keep the other batters on strike for long periods. Uh, I think when the 45th over started, which is when he started harboring the strike, he had faced only 100 balls out of 240 uh, possible of the 240 legal deliveries that were bowled during his stay at the wicket. So that is very good strike management by New Zealand. And unlike in the second ODI, the pitch when the pitch had changed dramatically, this one did not. This one, uh, there must have been something about this indoor conditions because even in the last two games, mm, India scored close to 400 in the first innings, and in the second innings, the chase hardly reached 300. I don't think any chase has ever reached 300 in indoor. So there must be something specific about indoor conditions that it does not get better unlike other pitches all across India, which just keep getting better in the evening as the temperature comes down. It's not necessarily due. It's just the temperature coming down and the pitch losing a lot of the grip that it had in the first innings. But yesterday it did not happen. So it was a difficult innings. New Zealand, although they were missing Michael Bracewell, they bowled really well to their plans, and there were balls that were also shooting yesterday. There was one LBW shout, which was one of the few balls that extracted a false shot from Kohli. But he was so calm. While he was there, it looked like, hey, he has a plan. It need not be dramatic. It need not be drastic or frenetic. He can. I mean that this new Kohli again. He hit a six of the seventh ball. I think he faced, which is this new Kohli who's attacking much earlier, taking risks much earlier. This was the third time in the last six matches that he hit a six in his first 20 balls, whereas in the 2 years that preceded He had only hit one such six, that also a free hit. So now he's kind of, he's achieved what he all he had to achieve. So he's probably thinking, hey, what are the boundaries? What are the limits of my game? How much can I, you know, extend myself? Let's see what let's unshackle myself and see what I can achieve within the framework of trying to win always, but being a little more free. So he's getting that. He's found out that it's like really easy for him to hit boundaries. Plus, also got into that, chase. He was locked into the chase where wickets are falling. So it was a lovely innings, and it was something at the ground. It must have been uh, even more fun to watch with the crowd going Kohli, Kohli every ball, and he was scampering for runs. He was hitting sixes. He was shepherding first Nitish Reddy and then Harshit Rana, applauding, cheering for Rana's sixes. And it there must have been a period where New Zealand must have thought, "Hey, is this slipping away?" Uh, which is really a tribute to what happened yesterday, which is a tribute to Kohli's innings, because the game was gone. It was India were like 34. I mean, they lost 4 wickets for nothing, and all their main batters were gone, and now they were left with the iffy ones, which was Nitish Reddy, Ravindra Jadeja, and Harshit Rana. But even though he fell short, it didn't feel like it's just Kohli's personality. He's just a happy person, which which kind of I was also put in the mind of him ribbing Jaiswal earlier this season when Jaiswal removed his hat and he saw his haircut, and Kohli was like, Kohli was almost like, "What's up, bro? Who hurt you? Why are you why are you in Salmon Bai's this thing Radhe Bhaiya era?" So this is just because we got a lot of traction with Sanju fans. I'm just trying to trigger Salmon Bai's fans. Let's see how it goes.
KK, you were also obviously watching that innings from Kohli, and it
Mhm.
was a different experience, right? I think Sid
Hmm.
has said in his piece it was kind of like a Tendulkar-like experience because he's batting with a lineup which doesn't have the depth that we usually see from Indian batting lineups these days. Of course,
Yeah.
still a very strong top order, but from number six onwards, players who perhaps wouldn't be in those positions had everyone been fit. So, I mean, what did you see again? Like, where do you rate this among Kohli's recent centuries at least? And also, like, how is he just doing this now? I mean, honestly, I just remembered as Sid was talking, I actually had a bizarre dream early this morning where I actually dreamt that Kohli was caught on camera after the game saying something to the effect of, I can't believe I retired from Test cricket. Because the kind of form he's in now, and I don't mean to be like, I mean, Sanjay Manjrekar these days, every time anyone does anything, he says, I'm reminded of Virat Kohli and him retiring from Test cricket too early. But sometimes when you see him doing this in ODI cricket, you do think, man, he's probably never batted better. And I mean, he could so easily be doing this maybe in at least two formats, if not all three now. Or should we just be enjoying him in ODI cricket and not thinking that way, KK?
Uh, I mean, it's two very different formats, and like conditions around the world are very different for Test cricket. And in those last few months he was playing, it wasn't so. Say from like just the start of post-pandemic cricket to say the first 2 years of that, he was batting really well, but like because of conditions, because of the bowling attacks, he was getting out without scoring hundreds and all. But after that, it seemed like, at least in his test game, there was something, there wasn't quite, the Kohli we know in terms of how secure he looks at the crease when he's there, whether against pace or spin. So I don't know, like, he was still scoring runs in ODIs in that time, but yeah, these last few months he seems to have added that extra layer to his ODI batting, which it was always there. It wasn't that he couldn't do this, but for a while, around the 2023 World Cup, where I think India had especially when Hardik Pandya was fit. A lineup that just where the other end, no matter who he was batting with, the other end there was someone who could score really quickly. He could score quickly too, but the team became structured in a way where he took this role upon himself of kind of batting through the innings, others batting around him. Uh, Especially say against spin, someone like Shreyas Iyer would take more risks. Against pace, he was still scoring super quick, right? That role kind of fell on his shoulders. Now I think he's, you know, like I can do the other things too. So let me, just express myself more. Or maybe it's also a knock-on effect of, say, Rohit Sharma. Also, like he's coming back. He's been sort of looking to find his rhythm, which he's found in some series. In this one, he didn't. Uh, but he's not been starting as quickly as before, right? So the situations Kohli is batted in have also slightly demanded little more like early risk from him, and he's fully embraced that, and it's been brilliant to watch. And this innings, it's a very difficult question to answer in terms of where does it rank, because he's scored what 54 hundreds now, and that's some like super like immortal innings. I don't think this is in like the League of Hobart, or that Asia Cup game against Pakistan, or Jaipur, that 51, I think 51 ball 100, Nagpur in that same series 2013, or so many other, like, which will be the first things that come to mind. And I'm not saying that because India didn't win this. I don't think this innings went to that full level of Kohli madness that we can, that we have seen many times. And that's no like knock on this innings. It was great innings. He's just played so many even greater innings. But yeah, in recent times, it's one of his best for sure. And yeah, it was very Tendulkarine in the sense of, India in the 90s. They had a fairly good top five, like up till Azhar and Jadeja. And then it would start getting, like the limitations of, say, Robin Singh would come in at number six, and then Nayan Mongia at number seven, and then basically the batting falling off a precipice, right? There's no batting left. And so in this context, I mean, I don't want to be harsh on, I'm not trying to be harsh on Nitish Kumar Reddy. He's got immense potential, but at the stage of development he is in right now, and at the stage where Ravindra Jadeja is, where, there's serious like issues around his game, especially against spin in white ball cricket. Given that, and given the fact that there's no Hardik Pandya, there's no Akshar Patel, your two first choice six and sevens. Uh, in this context, it felt very much like a 90s Indian team once that, once KL Rahul especially was out. You're like, damn, what's going to happen here? Like, there's at that stage 180 odd runs to get, I think. At eight, somewhere between eight and nine and over, you're like, this is it. They're gone. And so at one level, it was really great to see Nitish Reddy play that innings. It was amazing to see Harshit Rana play that innings as well, where he's shown over the last few months that he's not just like he the way he looks in terms of his physicality, and even the style he's got at the crease. You think he's going to be like this uh, big six hitter with not too many other layers to his game, but he's got like one of his like pet shots is a late cut that he plays against spin. Yesterday there was this one point where he comes down the track. I think Fuchs bowls like a slower ball, and then he holds his shape, waits, and then hits it inside out through the gap in the covers. So he's got more layers to his batting than you would think, and so it points to like some clear like idea that this team management sees this talent and knows what he's capable of. But around all that, Kohli, he was shifting through those gears so beautifully. I think there was a period where he went 52 balls with just one boundary. But I think there was just two dot balls, if I'm not wrong, in that period. And he scored like 47 runs in those 52 balls, and like he's almost invisibly just doing what he needed to do to get India through that period. And those are the bits that, don't sort of show up in the highlights, and then you forget. And then as soon as Jadeja got out, again he flicks that switch and effortlessly shifts gears again. Uh, and you're thinking 9 and over, where is this going? But like somehow India are always never like out of it. There's a kind of range of run rates that they're always maintaining, where the required rates never going beyond control. And these are the things that he's mastered over so many years. And in this kind of situation, which he's not experienced too many times, of not having support, uh, sort of recognized support at the other end, you saw it again, and it was great to watch. And it was kind of, you know, like for years I've been like a massive Sachin fan, right? And this is one thing where I've always like, yeah, of course, Kohli has a way higher average, but there's run inflation, and he's had way more support and stuff. He's not had to play the kind of innings that Sachin had to play over and over and over again. So yesterday was like, Kohli's chance to tell people like me, like Sachin diehards, to be like, look, if I had to be in that situation many times, I would have played many innings like this too.
If you've listened to the first 10 or 15 minutes of this podcast, you might think we're discussing a great India series win. But of course, India did end up losing this series despite some excellent individual performances. It's only the third home bilateral series that they've lost in the last 10 years. The last one was to Australia in 2023 in March. That was a three-match series, and then before that, 2019 as well. Australia beat India in a five-match series, but it's a pretty rare occurrence. Sid, you watched the series very closely, and I know you have some thoughts on where India lost the series, or to flip it around, you might say where New Zealand won the series in what were typically Indian conditions. So, I mean, what was it? Were New Zealand just better at playing spin? Was that the key to the series?
Yeah, firstly, I was really impressed with India's fast bowling. Harshit Rana is the big positive that has come through under this team management and selectors who they've rightly invested in him and backed him. And if his fitness stays strong and he stays strong, he can. I mean, he can be a match winner in all formats for India. So that is one thing that has worked. Mohammad Siraj made a great comeback. Prasidh Krishna also had a good game, and then Arshdeep comes in his place, and he has a good game. Yeah, fast bowling was very good. They did everything that was asked of them, except for maybe one short period yesterday in the third match where Harshit Rana kind of uh, lost his line a little bit in from overs 30 to 40, but that can happen when the opposition is only three down and the batters in the middle are close to 200 runs of partnership. So that fast bowling was very good. Batting was uh, batting top five was not that much of an issue, although Shubman Gill will and Rohit Sharma will not be happy that they got starts and did not convert them into 100. I mean, between them, they had four starts at least and zero hundreds in this series, so they will not be happy with that. But otherwise, the batting was generally good. Uh, except for the depth issue that we have discussed, which I think in India's first choice 11, hopefully, you would have Akshar Patel and Hardik Pandya instead of Nitish Reddy and Ravindra Jadeja if it was like a World Cup game tomorrow. Uh, Bumrah would be there. So fast bowling will only get better. But the problem has been spin bowling in this series, which is quite which should disturb India a little bit because India have one of the best spinners in the limited overs format in Kuldeep Yadav. I mean, not just limited overs format in all formats in Kuldeep Yadav. And Ravindra Jadeja, I mean, I was surprised he came back into the ODI side, but he still has a lot of experience and he is bowled in these conditions day in and day out. And to be fair to him, he has been he tried to do what is required to get wickets in the middle overs, especially in the first and second ODIs. His pace was down. He was trying to turn the ball more, but the wickets are just not coming for him. By comparison, there's this side with Michael Bracewell. He's not even the most well-known Bracewell in his own family. He's he's played only 40 ODIs. He's a finger spinner, and then his partner is Jaden Lennox, who's making his debut at 31. Uh, they've got no mystery to them, and they come and outperform India in India. Either way you look at it, either you could say that maybe Daryl Mitchell played Kuldeep Yadav way better, or you could say, these two spinners bowled way better. I think it's a mix of both. I think Kuldeep Yadav has lost in around 2022 when he made his comeback. If you remember, he had straightened his run up and he had got his stride right, which kind of gave him more pace uh, without sacrificing a lot of revs. I mean, the turn was less for sure than pre 2022, but he was still getting enough turn and enough in the air to be effective at that pace. I think that balance has gone off keel right now. I think he's gone quicker and quicker, uh, and he's not turning the ball that much. And which which I have seen with Kuldeep, if you attack him early, which just compounds itself, tends to compound itself, and he goes flatter and flatter. Uh, Himanish Kanju, who has worked with the Indian team and he has access to a lot of data. I don't know how, but he's just tweeted out how uh, Kuldeep's release has been a little wider and shorter. I mean, he's not been getting as tall as he used to, and he's also not getting as close to the umpire. So, and he's lost a bit of drift and a bit of turn. So, which at that pace then becomes easier to hit. Uh, so that is a thing that India will need to sort out. Kuldeep I understand he's not the first choice in the T20 World Cup, but on the sidelines, I think that is something that they will work on. I'm sure he will be in the squad along with Varun Chakravarthy, but there will be very few conditions where, especially when the pitches are under the ICC, that you would be able to play both of them. So that's something that India will need to work on to get him back on track to where he was around 2022. So as a result, India did not have any pressure in the middle overs, nor did Kuldeep get many wickets. He just missed his worst analysis by 2 runs. 82 conceded in the second ODI, and then you could say, hey, it was night time and the pitch had got better. But in the third ODI, he bowled in the afternoon, and he's still. I mean, India had taken 3 early wickets, and it was surprising didn't, bowl Kuldeep immediately after the 10th over to try to get 1 or 2 more wickets and just seal the deal there, which shows the captain was also seeing it. The captain is feeling it that Kuldeep right now is not my likeliest bowler to get a wicket. And he went to other bowlers before him. And in the end, India ended up bowling only 12 overs of spin in the third ODI. Overall in the series, despite New Zealand losing Michael Bracewell in the last ODI, New Zealand ended up bowling more spin than India, which just tells a story in itself. And if you look at the numbers in a close series, that was the difference about, New Zealand scoring about 30, 40 more runs in 10, 12 fewer balls of spin than India did. That proved to be the difference. And it is concerning that in the middle overs, India, neither did Kuldeep get wickets, nor could he create pressure for others to get wickets. I mean, Bracewell and Lennox, they bowled really well. Lennox, I think in 20 overs, he overpitched only 1 ball. The control of length, the variations of pace, they were just beautiful to watch. They also got only 5 wickets between them, but they created pressure for the taller bowlers to become effective. Like they forced batters to take risks against them. Kristen Clark got wickets. Kyle Jamieson got wickets in the middle overs. The other aspect, again, that has always been with the Indian team when facing spin in limited overs internationals is not sweeping enough. India hardly swept. I think they played one sweep shot in 2 matches. I think two. Yeah, one was a reverse sweep by KL Rahul for 4, and the other one was a very awkward looking sweep by Jadeja off Jaden Lennox. So it just makes it easier for the spinners to hold their length if they know that nobody is going to sweep you. It just makes your uh, effective area or margin for error slightly bigger than it is when you know when the batter is unpredictable and they can sweep you anytime. So all these things put together prove to be the difference. New Zealand played really well. They planned really well. They again uncannily they tended to read the conditions better than the home team, which surprises me every time. Uh, but yeah, India main difference was the middle overs bowling, where New Zealand were much more effective than India.
I think to come to that sweep point, especially, right? If you watch some of Daryl Mitchell's sweeps and some of the best players of the sweep over time, like say a Yunis Khan or something, they can sweep balls that say most Indian batters would just cut. Like it's that far outside off stump. It's that pitching that far away from the stumps in terms of length as well. But just with their reach and that, knowing how to play the shot, the use of the hands and wrists and all that, it's a shot it's incredibly hard to master, I think, if you've not been playing it growing up, if you've not been playing it in your sort of early years, or a lot of these players, say Matthew Hayden, it's a classic story of, he's played for quite a while. He's played a lot of first class cricket already. Then he comes to India and then he develops this. He comes to India for like a spin camp in Chennai, and there he develops it. And Alan Border gives him some advice on, various ways of playing the sweep and things. I think there's a certain with Indian batters, they get to international cricket. They have no problems in terms of playing spin in like uh, the traditional ways of measuring how you play spin, right? Where, if you have to play a bowling attack, which also includes spin, and then you come out the other side with 100. All these typically, like anybody who plays for India, who bats in the top four, has all those skills covered. But when you come up in a situation in white ball cricket where it's not just about individuals scoring hundreds, but about a team of players finding a way between them to score quickly enough against a certain kind of bowling, put pressure on a certain kind of bowling, where it's a sort of collective kind of effort, right? Where it's not what you kind of grow up doing. You grow up being like, I'm going to score hundreds. And I think there's a certain lack of ego to the sweep, if that makes some sense, in the way that, say, someone like Daryl Mitchell plays it. Because when he was coming up, he was an all-rounder. He wasn't like known as like the next big batting talent of New Zealand, right? So he added a lot of these layers to his game to be able to like force his way into like teams, to be able to like, you know, better himself to get to that next stage of development and to get to that next higher level of cricket and, make himself stand out. So I think the sweep, it's a very kind of roundabout point I'm making, but it's comes with the even Tom Latham is an amazing sweeper, right? But he's again that kind of batter who's not like, uh, he's not the guy who everybody was talking about when he was 18. Uh, so I think with Indian players, there's something about the way the system produces batters that unless somebody, like a Sarfraz Khan, again, he's not getting picked for India for various reasons, but he's a damn good sweeper. So there are odd exceptions uh, who play the sweep really well,
Rohit Sharma is one exception, I think.
and he also added that to his game later for certain situations and all, like that Chennai test in 2021 where he swept a lot, slog swept a lot. They can do it. I've seen Virat Kohli sweep in Adelaide 2014, that fourth innings 100. He played it brilliantly. But it's not, it's it's the way you look at how you're going to play a spell of from a spinner. It's always about, okay, I'm going to get through this over, get, my these many runs that I will get in this over. I'm dominating the guy. But that feeling of domination is about just controlling a game rather than like taking an extra risk to like, score even quicker, not as an individual, but as a team, right? And I don't think that's part of India's batting philosophy. I think, I mean, they think about these things, I'm sure. They talk about these things, but what's ingrained is not this way of like playing spin. So yeah, I think, and then a series like this happens, as Monga wrote in his piece. It's happened many times where a visiting team has come, they've outswept India. Usually not won the series because of it, but they've won the odd ODI. And then, suddenly you realize, oh shit, there's something that, we need to get better at. And then they work on it. You see the next net session, they're all playing it. They're all playing sweeps, reverse sweeps, everything. They're playing it well also. They can. I don't think it's a skill that they don't necessarily have, but it's not an instinct. And then the next series comes and they start it in the same way that they usually start. Maybe they even win it. So over time, the demand that you have to get better or else you have to play this regularly or else just doesn't come. I think this series is a bit of a wake up call in that sense where it's the gulf between the two sides in this particular discipline seems so vast. And the amount of pressure that puts on a spinner, right? Like I said, like if somebody is able to you've set a field where you're bowling a ball where you're thinking is this person's going to cut, is going to go to sweep a cover, they're going to get a single. They sweep it into a gap. When you only have four fielders outside the 30-yard circle, it absolutely messes with what you're able to do as a spinner. It forces you to change your plans, change your fields, and then you put a fielder out. Say somebody plays a reverse sweep, you put a deep backward point out. You have that person out, but then there's no need to play the reverse sweep because you've opened out another area of the field which you can target in a much more conventional way, right? So these are all the things that this wide range of being able to sweep in a wide range of ways does to a bowling team, which India, I think they have the skills for it. They don't have the instincts for it, maybe. I think they really need to like train very consciously to like, add it to that to their arsenal. And, whoever in the team is able to do it should just keep doing it more and more. Maybe the coach tells them, look, if you get out sweeping in this series, I don't care. Three times, four times, I don't care. Keep playing it. It's got to come through a sort of systemic recognition that this is something we need to like just start doing as a matter of course.
And it not being an instinct, the greatest example of that was the World Cup final where, it was all going well. India didn't need to sweep. And then suddenly you get that pitch where you can't score down the ground of Adam Zampa or Maxwell also bowled that day. India played only two sweeps
Mm.
in the whole innings. I think there was
I
18
rem
overs of spin.
So the one boundary KL Rahul hit was a lovely lap sweep, but
So,
he didn't attempt any other in that innings, right?
yeah.
So it's not that they
Even,
can't play it. They don't. It, the thought that this is going to be one of my first responses to a spinner is like,
yeah.
yeah,
And I get your point about ego where they think, hey, sweep is a bit of a risk and I don't need to take risk because I picked the length so well.
mm,
I know when to go forward, I know when to go back. But hey, this is not a test innings. It's an innings where in the middle overs, 4 and over or 4.5 and over is not good enough anymore.
yeah,
And which is what becomes the difference if it is like if you're scoring 4.5 as opposed to 6 for 10 overs of spin bowling, you've lost 15 runs, which is what becomes the difference in the end.
yeah. And I think Shreyas Iyer not having the greatest of series kind of hurt India quite a bit. Uh,
And not Akshar not being there. But
Akshar
Akshar
not
is a
being there as
great,
well.
not great, but he's a very good sweeper. He's got the reach like
Yeah,
Mitchell. So he's a very, very important, I think he's a must-have in this batting lineup, not just being a left-hand batter, but also being that spin disruptor who will not let 5 overs of spin go away for 22 runs.
yeah. And I think the fact that Ravindra Jadeja got out caught at deep mid wicket to a left arm spinner was just a very like,
In the night time, that too, not
yeah,
during the day.
yeah. I think that was a
Yeah.
very symbolic moment in this series. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting choice from India to go with Jadeja ahead of Akshar Patel in the last couple of ODI series, but that might just be a temporary thing because of course Akshar is in the squad for the T20 World Cup, so maybe just a little bit of both resting Akshar and giving Jadeja a final chance to kind of show what he can do in ODIs, because of course he's now playing just the two formats, Tests and ODIs, and we might see that permanent switch from Jadeja to Akshar in the next round of ODIs when they start, which will only be in July now. But let's just go back to the Kuldeep Yadav point, because Kuldeep, I mean, of course, we love him on this podcast, but it's an interesting case, right? Because he's somebody who, if I look at his performances from the beginning of last year, he does tend to kind of blow a little bit hot and cold. I'm not quite sure why that is. I remember even in the IPL, he had a sensational start to the IPL. He was one of the best bowlers over the first phase. But then, if you look at his stats from the second phase, his economy rate shot up to about 8, and he wasn't taking as many wickets. It felt like once a couple of batters got a hold of him and went after him, then the form wasn't quite there. Then, of course, he has a brilliant Asia Cup. But then, straight after that, he has only the two games in Australia, and then India decide to pick Varun Chakravarthy ahead of him. It's a bit telling as well that, multiple captains seem to think that they should go to other spinners ahead of Kuldeep at times. Like Varun has taken his place as the premier bowler in T20s. We saw even in the test matches at times uh, other bowlers being bowled ahead of Kuldeep. In the series against South Africa, he didn't bowl as many overs as the other spinners in some of the innings. And here again, he's had an excellent series against South Africa, but now a tough one against New Zealand. And given that Varun has already eclipsed him in T20s and is ahead of him, and Varun seems to have this ability to get hit for big runs, but then come back and take wickets, which he's shown. Is there a chance that Varun might, move ahead of Kuldeep even in the ODI squad? Because he did have a very good Champions Trophy, or do you think India should, given how trigger happy they are with Kuldeep, do you think there's a chance that happens, or do you think they stick with him at least for the foreseeable future as their premier wrist spinner in this format?
Uh, yeah, I think Varun had a superb Champions Trophy, so I was little surprised when he wasn't picked in the next ODI squad. Especially since he doesn't play, red ball cricket. So it's not like you need to rest him or anything. But I could see why they didn't do it, because they were like, that was a very tournament specific thing where we could play up to like four spinners in a game, given those conditions. And we're not likely to get that anymore. So I understood that. The thing that Varun over the last 2, 3 years has had over a lot of other India spinners, right, is that amount of overspin that he gets, and all the secondary effects of that, which is dip and bounce and also that makes him again this, always the guy who's not there in the squad looks better when the guys in it are like struggling. So I will acknowledge an element of that, but that sort of overspin and bounce, and of course the extra pace that he has as well. He bowls in the high 90s typically, and sometimes in the low hundreds as well. That pace and the dip and bounce makes him harder to sweep for sure than, the typical spinner. Even a quick spinner like Jadeja who bowls say early 90s, typically kph.
Harder
Um,
to sweep and harder to step down to.
Much harder to step down to, yeah. So because of that, yeah, they will, I'm sure, look at like, bringing Varun back into the ODI setup. I love Kuldeep Yadav, and we all do, as you mentioned, and he has uh, like when he's at his best, he's got multiple ways of getting you out. He's not just, going to attack the stumps and bowl quick and go at you that way. Even in this series, he got Glenn Phillips out with a beautiful wrong run in the first ODI. So he's a champion bowler. Uh, I but yeah, there is the concern for me is that he's not been spinning the ball that hard, not for a period of time. Like in the South Africa series, whenever they was showing the graphics of degrees of turn for both sides, you would expect that the spinner is going to at least, maybe Simon Harmer was just bowling brilliantly, so maybe he was, with that kind of rhythm, maybe he's not going to get that degree of turn that Harmer was getting, but he was not getting Jadeja's amount of turn. So that was a worry, right? So it was there from then. And sometimes it's just some little thing that's off about your action, uh, a very small thing in that chain that, from your run up to like your final delivery stride. Some small thing goes off kilter and that affects the whole thing. And like, hopefully he has the right people around him looking at him in training, watching his videos, figuring out, okay, this is what it is, you work on it, and we can sort this out. But I'm sure he can sort this out. So yeah, I mean, given that India have Varun Chakravarthy waiting, they will surely think of bringing him in. But like, that doesn't say anything about Kuldeep's ability or like his ability to bounce back from this trough. But we have to call it a trough now because there is something not quite right in just the raw data of like, the amount of turn he's getting and the revs he's putting on the ball.
The one thing I'm not sure of, uh, or I don't know if the team management is sure of, is Varun's fitness over 10 overs in every match, because he's primarily a T20 bowler. He bowls
Mm.
4 overs, and he's uh, the other thing could be his fielding and his batting. I know Kuldeep is not a not a six hitter, but he can hold one end up.
Played that
And
nice little reverse sweep also,
yeah, oh
huh?
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh, I forgot to add that to the
Yeah.
numbers. So that makes it three sweeps
Three
in two
sweeps.
matches.
Yeah. Even in Ranchi, when he had that big partnership with Dhruv Jurel in that test match, he started his innings with a reverse sweep of
Yeah.
Shoaib Bashir. So,
Yeah.
well, he's one guy who can, yeah.
So I mean, you really don't want all three to be like, Arshdeep, Siraj, and okay, either Bumrah. So you don't want Bumrah, Varun, and Arshdeep at your 9, 10, 11. At least somebody, if like somebody like Kohli is there, he should be able to trust your other guy to take a single. I
I,
don't
I
think
do,
you can.
I
I
do
don't think
think,
you can do that with Varun.
yeah, probably.
Mm.
Although, couple of things. One is Arshdeep. I was very surprised that Siraj came in ahead of both Kuldeep and Arshdeep, both of whom are
Yeah.
definitely. And Arshdeep can hit, like,
Yeah.
hit a few boundaries, even yesterday he showed that first shot he
I,
played.
I,
Lovely
I think
timing, right? Yeah.
I think Siraj just snuck in when nobody was looking.
Yeah. So Arshdeep,
Yes,
I think there's
Siraj
some.
really rates. I said Siraj and Archie both seem like the kind of guys who really rate their own batting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so sorry, where was I going with that point? Varun in the TNPL at least has been batting up the order and all. I don't know. I've never watched him bat in recent times, so I don't know if that's had any effect on his ability to hit like international quality bowling. But that's just one thing I wanted to mention.
And I don't know if it has become a strong enough trend that taller finger spinners are doing better these days.
Yeah,
You have Sandner, you have Bracewell, you
George Linde.
Lennox. Yeah, you had Lennox, you had Varun is taller than Kuldeep.
Mm,
Kuldeep and Jadeja are more like traditional spinners
hmm.
heights.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a new thing and whether it will endure till the next World Cup. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess the thing that, makes Varun a very attractive option is like that kind of performance he had in the 50-20 against South Africa and Ahmedabad, where he actually gets taken down. He's going for big runs, but then he comes back and he's actually the guy who takes the key wickets that breaks the game. I'm struggling to remember a time that Kuldeep has, had that kind of performance where he gets taken for 15-20 and
No.
an over, but then next over he comes back and takes two wickets. It may be that captains don't give him that chance. KK, you
No, no,
wanted
no.
to.
So, I mean, there are examples. So, like,
Okay.
a big one being like Dharamshala in the World Cup, when Daryl Mitchell, the same guy, was taking him down, and then
Hmm.
he comes back and first 5 overs go for 48 or something like that, and then last five
Hmm.
he just goes for 20 odd and picks up two wickets, and
Yeah, I remember this.
with
Yeah.
Mitchell still in the crease for large part of that. So he's done it before. I can think of one other occasion. I don't remember where it was, even which year, but again, Australia were going really strong. And I think he comes back after the 40th over. I think that period he's often come back and done well because like he has that fifth fielder out. And then that gives him the leeway to kind of like toss it up a bit more. And anyway, batters are like going after the bowling more in that period. He has, I think he's got a very good record in overs 41 to 45. I don't have the numbers anywhere near the top of my head, but if we check, I'm pretty sure he's got a really good record in that phase. So I will contest that point that he has done it like multiple times, just from like very hazy memory, but I've watched it happen.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm being unfair actually. When I look at it, even you could consider the performance in Ranchi against South Africa, where he was going for runs, but then did get some crucial wickets as another example where he comes in and gets 2 wickets in an over after having get hit in his previous over. So yeah, he does have that ability, but it's I guess India have multiple options and
Mm.
it's a long time till the next ODI series. So we'll see what they do then. But in this series, at least it wasn't Kuldeep's best. After it has to be said, a very good previous series against South Africa. Similarly, another player that I know everyone will want to us to talk about because I was getting DMs about it even yesterday, which seems like a very hasty reaction because, and I saw there were comments about this even on our ball by ball commentary, but after just one poor series, there are people already saying that this may be it for Mr. Rohit Sharma. And I think as soon as that comment came onto our ball by ball comms, there were quite rightly a lot of other commenters who pointed out that listen, he was just player of the series in Australia. He's then had a pretty good series at home against South Africa, 250. So one poor series surely can't be reacted to quite that dramatically. But given his age and given just how far away the next World Cup is, I guess there'll always be this scrutiny on Rohit, right? But I mean, this surely is just has to be written off as one of those series where okay, he didn't find his rhythm, but we can't ignore the overall form over the last 4 or 5 months, right?
You're taking of all the keywords to 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 activate
In short views.
to activate
Unfortunately,
bomb.
there's no SEO for the podcasts.
No,
Audio
he
SEO. Yeah.
he will clip and put them out and
Yeah, don't worry. I have Gil next.
no, Gil is our what's the is our agentee or agenta or
Yeah. He's a he's a
yeah.
boss, is the word you're looking for.
Hire
Yeah.
me, Shubman. I'll come here with a.
No, I thought going after Salmon Bai was enough. Now you're bringing Rohit into it. Oh, two parts of Bombay. uh, no, but yes, he was player of the series with the two series prior to this. But you remember Ashwin? Ashwin was the player of the series just one series before before what turned out to be his last series in Test cricket. So age and what it does to bodies and at top level cricket, you would never know. I mean, there can be a very, very steep fall. And there is a bit of, I mean, with Kohli, you see that it has kind of rejuvenated him, the kind of breaks he's getting. But with Rohit, you see an element of just a bit of rustiness, which comes with not playing that much cricket. And because these are just short 3 match series and you are the opener and there's not too much time to, find your way back, find your touch, find your rhythm, it can result in the exactly the kind of shots that Rohit has played to get out. First ODI trying to go inside out and chipping to mid off. The third ODI chipping to mid on, trying to again force the pace. So these things do like it's the hallmark of not enough cricket and not enough security, not because the coach or the team management has said anything to you, but just knowing that this is the only format you're playing, by the virtue of that, not having enough security in your place in the side, which he had when he was the captain and he was playing all three formats. It was just a completely different different game he was playing at that time, and now he's just playing a completely different game. uh, I mean, if he was 5 years younger, you wouldn't be having this conversation. It's just because it is this age, and it has to be a constant conversation between him between the team management and the selectors, and they have to keep looking for small signs. One of the words that Ravi Shastri has been using on air is the appetite. Uh, so I don't know how we cannot judge it from the outside, but the team management knows it better. So all these things, there are a lot of intangibles. This is a very sensitive call uh, that the team management and the selectors have to keep looking at, because you don't really want to, get into March 27 and then decide that, hey, Rohit is not going to be our World Cup opener, and then Jaiswal doesn't get enough time. So all these things have to be kept in mind. Uh, Very, very delicate issue, which has to be, tripartite discussions have to happen for for it to, and they have to happen in good faith. And this thing has to be evaluated series by series, and we need to de-hyphenate Roko, because right now Ko is at another level to where Ro is.
Yeah. One other thing I'll add to that is, watching not just this series, even when he was scoring hundreds against Australia and South Africa, uh, he was not playing, he wasn't starting off, going or getting off the blocks, instantly like he was, in that period up to the Champions Trophy.
But I think
Uh,
that was partly by design, right, KK? I think he also
so,
wanted to play more number of balls. It was, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yes, partly by design because he's coming back after a long time and you don't immediately get into rhythm, obviously, right? And he was playing against some really good bowling, and in Australia, especially in pitches where he couldn't do that. So, all of that was there. But even that's kind of carried into this Indian season as well of ODIs, where he's not played in the same Rohit Sharma way of the 2023 World Cup, 2024 Champions Trophy. And so then, is Rohit Sharma still able to score ODI hundreds on his day and still, if he plays three series in a year, he'll average 40 plus through the year? I think, yeah, he is definitely that still able to do that. But is Rohit Sharma able to play like the Rohit Sharma of that period, which is maybe what India needs, right? If you want to get the best out of Shubman Gill, if you want that all the interlocking parts of that lineup to work together, you might want an opener, whether it's Rohit Sharma or someone else, to play in that manner of, really going after the bowling early on. And, some commentators have said, oh, I like this, this version of when he was scoring runs before this series. Oh, I like the, but was that really like, serving the team composition needs in the same way that Rohit Sharma playing in that aggressive way was serving the needs earlier? I don't know. And so, and whether, uh, given the fact that there are going to be big breaks between series, he's not going to be playing much cricket between series. Will he be able to play in that way at all? Will he have the means to be able to play that way, the preparation to be able to play that way? I don't know. Maybe the answer is still yes. I'm not ruling it out, but it's going to get increasingly harder. The next ODI series, I think, 7 months away or something, if I'm not
July
wrong.
in England.
Right. So, what cricket is he going to? Of course, he's going to play the IPL. Other than that, what cricket is he going to be playing before that ODI series? How is he going to be able to like? For Kohli, it's different, right? He's not playing the newest of new balls typically, and the demands are different on him. The kind of innings he's required to play versus the kind of innings this version of, or at least the 2023, 24, 22 to 24 version of Rohit Sharma was playing. And that requires more rhythm, I feel. And I don't know, like, is he going to get that given the breaks that he's going to have? And the one parallel that I'm seeing is, when Shubman Gill came, like, made his place in the ODI lineup his own, right? When he was reeling off those centuries and runs. For a part of that, Shikhar Dhawan was still in and around the conversation, right? Rohit Sharma was being rested from certain series and all, and Dhawan was playing, he was even captaining India in some series. But he was in a similar situation where he was no longer in the Test or T20I team. He was only playing ODIs. And you could see that his tempo was not matching the rest of the top six in that period. And India kind of slowly moved on from him. And he himself said, like, if I was a selector and I had to choose between myself and Shubman Gill, I would pick Shubman Gill. He himself said it. So I'm seeing something of a parallel to that. While I acknowledge that Rohit, I think, still has that higher ceiling than a Shikhar Dhawan, for sure. He can still reach those heights of like being able to hit sixes, you know, from the get go. And he was still showing some glimpses of that. Like even in this series, there was this. He got India's. I don't remember whether it was Rajkot or Baroda, where he hit a pulled six and
Baroda.
Baroda, right? He's still like got it. I'm not saying he doesn't have it, but like, is it going to like happen right from the get go? And do India need an opener like that? And do they think Yashasvi Jaiswal is capable of providing them, giving in a straight shoot off between this Rohit Sharma and Yashasvi Jaiswal as he is now? Who is the better option for playing that role? So that is a conversation they will surely already be having and thinking of, and maybe not having, but it may be thinking about it already.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Rohit, I mean, I just looked back at some of his innings, and a lot of the times that he started off a little bit slowly was also match situation dependent, chasing targets of below 300. I think in the one ODI where he batted first against South Africa, he did get, I think, 57 at about a strike rate of 110 plus. So
Hmm.
I think he still got it in his locker, but yeah, it's a developing situation with him,
Hmm.
and there'll always be scrutiny. But now, okay, the message has come from our boss that we need to talk about him. So let's talk about not Sambit Bal. I'm talking about Shubman Gill.
No,
Although
I was
Sambit has
about to
also sent me a
say
message.
I was about to say that our boss has also got Shikhar Dhawan on his payroll, where he's got him saying that if I was a selector, I would pick Gill over Dhawan.
Okay, but for Gill, I mean, this was in a way it was a middling series. I mean, 250s and then 20 in the last game. But there is a lot. I mean, there's a magnifying glass on him now. Ever since he's been left out of the T20 World Cup, he obviously addressed that during the series. Kind of gave the expected diplomatic answers about I'm exactly where I need to be, and there are reasons for things, but I still feel like I have to do my job as captain in these two formats. What did you make of? There was also a bit of scrutiny about some minor technical changes he may have made in terms of slightly wider backlift, and then, of course, a reaction to how that may have caused his dismissal in the third game. What did you make of his series, Sid? Was it just kind of a standard middling series for him? And what did you make of his overall captaincy and demeanor in this series?
The first game, he was scratchy, uh, which is quite understandable. Guys coming back from an injury, is coming back from a personal setback of having been dropped from the T20 World Cup after having been anointed the vice captain. So it was an important innings where Rohit Sharma actually kind of took the lead, hit a few sixes, let him ease his way in. He got to a 50. I mean, he himself is very bitterly disappointed. You could make it out from his press conference that he was not able to convert any of these starts into a big 100, which is so used to doing. And like it just sometimes happens that after that first match, he actually looked more and more fluent as he has gone. He was looking really fluent in the third ODI. Then he got that ball that seemed in 1.6 degrees. I mean, uh, talking about technique and where the bat is coming from at that point is just being very convenient because he had just scored more than 100 runs in his two innings with the bat flow being the same. So it's nothing. I don't think it's anything technical. He kind of worked his way into a flow, which with the last 6 months that he's had with injuries, and then even Vijay Hazare could not play because of illness. Maybe that is what has actually, maybe that's why he's now traveling with a water filter.
I was about to say, do you think he's changed his technique to build his triceps so that he can carry carry Bisleri up the stairs next
Yeah.
time?
This will be my next water filter conversation with my boss.
Water cooler.
No, no. It's the very cold water is not good for athletes. We have water filter conversations. Yeah, I mean, captaincy wise, again, that point was made by commentators also, and I've seen that point that when Harshit Rana was going for runs and this partnership between Mitchell and Phillips was flourishing, everybody, Ian Smith noticed that looks. If I look out of my window, it looks like KL Rahul is the captain and not Gill. Gill is at long on. Maybe, I mean, there have been many times when Kohli has been, when he was the captain, he has been at long on and he has trusted MS to kind of, uh, orchestrate the field to conduct the orchestra from as a keeper. And KL Rahul is experienced. You can, and there's not a lot that you're changing every ball. So I'm not really sure that is quite a drawback. Maybe that is his style. And if that is his style and he stays honest to it, and I mean, just because you lost the series, you don't look at that bit of his captaincy. Uh, I wonder with Kuldeep Yadav whether when you have somebody, to be fair to Gill, he actually, when Mitchell hit him for a 6 and a 4 in the second ODI, he gave him quite a long spell to Kuldeep. But in the third ODI, I was a little surprised that he didn't go for the kill with Kuldeep Yadav early doors when there were 3 wickets down. He went to probably protect Kuldeep because Mitchell has a great matchup. But he's got great numbers against Kuldeep Yadav. He averages about 100 against Kuldeep and strikes at more than a run a ball. So I I would like a captain who tells me, I don't care, you are my wicket taker. I have your back. But it's also sometimes reciprocative of the kind of personality that bowler is. Uh, I don't know. I mean, it's not really fair to make too many judgments on his captaincy from this one series defeat. But as a batter, he was getting close to his best, and his best is like glorious, which in some of those shots you could see. So I'm not too worried about where he will be. I mean, nowadays ICC tournaments happen every year. Even if he misses this one, he should be fine.
Yeah. I thought fully agree that he grew in fluency through that series. And third ODI, he played some stunning shots. I thought, wow, this is it. Got out 56 and 50 odd in the other game as well. And this is it. We could see a century here. He looked that good.
Then he got
And then he
that
got
ball.
that ball. Yeah. So absolutely no worries about his batting. And that wider backlift, I don't know. This is just a hypothesis on my part. Is that in England for that test series, everything is a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
His backlift from his start, from the time he started has been wide, and he went straighter, coming down from say first slip rather than like third slip or whatever. It I think helped him in terms of defense, right? But one thing I was observing through that series is he wasn't hitting a lot of boundaries with the pull, which is like he was getting a lot of singles because they had fielders back and all, but he was playing a very controlled kind of pull, not the in front of square, meeting it well in front of his body type pull. And so, like shots that he's really renowned for getting a lot of boundaries, that back foot sort of jab through point, cover point. All of that is a product of that, not just that wide backlift, but it contributes a lot to him being able to play those shots easily and hit a lot of boundaries with those shots. So maybe it's a trade-off he's making, that in white ball cricket, maybe I'm going to go with that wider backlift. Uh, like if you just shadow practice and try playing that particular kind of short arm jab that Gill plays, you try it with the wider backlift, it just feels more natural. And he was playing a lot of that shot in this series, and scoring a lot of runs with it. So I think it's just that trade-off. I don't know if he's doing it across formats, if he's adopting one thing for white ball, one thing for tests. I don't know. We'll have to see. But maybe this is my hypothesis, like I said. And in terms of his captaincy, just one point I want to bring up is we noticed this during that Australia tour as well,
Yes, yes.
which is like having not very good fielders in hot zones. Prasidh Krishna dropping that catch of Mitchell in the second ODI at long on was a very clear example of that, where he
But
dropped that.
whenever,
Hmm.
but when Gill goes to the hot zone, then
Then
commentators are
people have
saying,
problems with that also. Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
defend my boss.
Yeah, so that's one thing I noticed again, that he's not necessarily placing the best fielders where the ball is going to come a lot in a given phase of an innings. Uh, yeah, and in the Australia series, I thought, okay, maybe it's some experimentation or whatever, but I don't know. Would you really be experimenting with that of all things? Like, to improve somebody as a
Yeah,
fielder, you'll do it in practice, right? So
yeah.
yeah, that's something, some attention to detail thing that he needs to maybe get better at. And there's one other point I wanted to make. Yeah, the thing about experimentation is we have to view this series defeat a little bit through the lens of, uh, India were experimenting quite a bit in this series, from their selections of, say, Jadeja over Akshar Patel, resting Hardik Pandya, all very sensible decisions given T20 World Cup is coming up. Given the history of both those guys of getting injured just before World Cups or during also. So, therefore these are two key players in their team in terms of just how they balance the team and all that. So there was this level of experimentation there. There's a level of experimentation to how, say, Siraj was India's best uh, bowler in that first ODI, fast bowler at least in the first ODI. He didn't bowl out. They bowled out Prasidh Krishna and Rana. So there were a lot of little things like this where you could see that they weren't necessarily going with the best option for that situation that they would in like a series or match of greater consequence. Having said that, New Zealand came here with like I don't know how many bowlers, how many first choice bowlers injured, how many first choice batters not available for various reasons. So that balanced itself out in some way, or not even balanced like that. New Zealand's missing players was a much longer list, like, starting from Matt Henry, Williamson, Tom Latham, like you could, keep going down that list, right? So I'm not saying that, India lost because of this, but it was also like some of the decisions they took, some of the selections they made, we have to kind of view it through that lens that they were looking at it as a bit of a series to try a few things in.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, it's a strange kind of series because India lose the series and they lose it despite having how many tosses did they win in this series? They won two of the
Two
three
out of
tosses,
three.
right? Yeah.
Hmm.
So not a whole lot of excuses you can make on that front either. But again, a series where despite the overall collective loss and a few players really struggling for form, Rohit, Shreyas, Kuldeep among them. A lot of positives, and another one that I want to touch upon because it's another keyword. But KL Rahul obviously had an outstanding first couple of games. I mean, in the first game, India were kind of cruising to a win, but then it got a little bit nervy once Kohli got dismissed. But KL just made sure that there was, no last minute dramatic collapse there or anything. Just finished the game off. And then he scores, I think, one of the best hundreds I can remember from him in ODIs, probably as good as Kohli's in the third, where in difficult batting conditions where everybody else is seeming to struggle, he ends up getting 100 in really quick time and actually is hitting boundaries. I mean, maybe a little bit, and I guess we can take these 2 points together. It kind of also highlighted Jadeja's struggles, that particular partnership, because you had, I mean, they both looked like they were playing on different pitches, right? Rahul from one end, Jadeja from the other. Jadeja striking at 60, Rahul at 120. But Sid, I mean, Rahul, I guess this is not a new point that he is one of the best number fives or number sixes in world cricket. There's been a lot of talk about whether he should be a number five or number six. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's kind of a fluid position, but people were pointing out that here he got that 100 from number five. Is that an important thing for you, or is it not as important? And just tell me what your impressions were of that partnership between him and Jadeja and how good he looked compared to Jadeja.
No, I think when Akshar is there, and especially in chases, it makes sense to hold back KL because he's the more experienced guy. You trust him in that pressure situation to close out games, which he showed in the first ODI where he did close out the game. Uh, and Akshar is also a spin disruptor. He's a left-hander. He can sweep. He can reverse sweep. So no issue with sometimes, not every time, with sometimes Rahul being pushed to number six tactically because the opposition is bowling spin and you have Akshar Patel who can disrupt it. Uh, if there is sometimes even Hardik Pandya might be a better choice than him if there's an explosive innings required. So I really 5 and 6 does not make that much of a difference as long as you have it conveyed to the batter what the right reason the reasons are for what the reasons are for that switch. So I don't think 5 and 6 should be that much of an issue, but as a rule, you would have him at five, give him more time to spend in the middle and score more runs. And sometimes because he's a wicket keeper, sometimes you can kind of look to manage that workload also. Sometimes you might just want him to go in for 5, 6 overs before he has to, pad up as a wicket keeper for a whole innings. But yeah, that's not that significant. But yeah, Jadeja, as we have discussed earlier, is becoming a bit of an issue. His, you know what, his last half century in India was more than 10 years ago. His Either he's not required to go bat, or when he's required to go bat, teams can shut him down with spinners, which should not be happening. Even in T20s, you can like completely shut him down with spin. So that's a bit of an issue for as an all-rounder for India because if you have to bat at 5, 6 or 7, you will face spin, you will face a tattered ball, you will face a ball that is not traveling or coming on to the bat. So that is going to be an issue. Add to it that despite his best efforts, he's got only 1 wicket in his last 6 ODIs. So it is becoming a bit of an issue, and I'm sure he understands it because I remember at the start of this year he was asked, at the start of this year or sometime late in the
Late
last year
last year.
he was asked about his ODI selection, and he said I have been conveyed why I'm not part of the team, and I am quite satisfied with the reasons. So it's not like he is in any. I mean, he as a competitor he wants to do the best. He wants to be part of the team that goes out to win, but he kind of understands that currently Akshar is a better option uh, for batting largely,
Hmm.
but also as a bowling, taller bowlers are tending to do better. So, I mean, Akshar has a lot of work to do on his bowling, by the way. I mean, as time has progressed, his bowling, the action he puts on the ball has tended to reduce. So, he needs to also be kept on his toes.
Yeah, that's probably one reason for this, non-selection here also. Maybe
Hmm.
it's again hypothesis. With Akshar, yeah. So I remember like in that England series before the Champions Trophy, where there was one game where Jadeja had a brilliant game with the ball and Akshar had a brilliant game with the bat,
Yeah.
and it we didn't know then that India could play both of them during the Champions Trophy, that conditions would allow that. But it was a real dilemma then because, Aksar's bowling has clear limitations in the sense that even in helpful conditions, sometimes uh, he's still only testing your inside edge as a right-hander. So you know
Hmm.
which way the ball's, you know roughly what you need to do. You stay leg side of him, punch it this way, and then if he strays too far, you can get runs on the leg side also. So, there are limitations to Aksar's bowling. But yeah, as a package for what India want from that spin bowling all rounder, yeah, Akshar is clearly ahead because they want a batting all rounder, I think, and Akshar is that. Yeah,
And you
Jadeja,
you don't you don't discard Washi yet.
yeah,
Washington could
yeah,
become the guy.
yeah. I mean, he's shown some spurts every now and then that all the doubt around him has tended to be about whether he has the power game, right? So every now and then he has played an innings which shows, yeah, it's there. Not always, not consistently. There are games where it kind of goes missing, but it's there, and he's still a
Okay.
Hmm.
fairly young guy,
Hmm.
25 or something, if I'm not wrong. So as opposed to Aksar, who's in his early 30s.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Washington is definitely there. I mean, as a an off spinner, you may not be able to select him all the time. Uh,
Hmm.
that's another thing. But yeah, I think between the three of them, I think Jadeja's probably fallen to third on the pecking order for
Yeah.
ODIs, and that's, that given how few ODIs India play, I don't know how long he goes on for in that sort of, given the rung he sits on now.
Okay.
And given the World Cup is in South Africa, India might not take two spin all-rounders.
Yeah.
There might be room only for one.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more player who will be very important in South Africa. Before we go, I just want to discuss one more player. But before that, I think one of our co-panelists from previous episodes has a message that he wants to deliver. So he'll just deliver
Not
this
Cricinfo
quickly.
awards. Not
Huh?
Cricinfo awards.
No, no, it just says, I don't know if you can read it, but
Sorry, Harshit.
Rana for number seven, and can't read the other one.
Rana for
So,
all
yeah.
formats.
I
right.
mean, to be fair though, this podcast in
Yash,
particular,
Yash,
yeah,
We
Yash,
don't
the
have to
apology.
apologize. We've
yeah.
been like,
Yeah, we've actually
Yash,
been
yeah.
among the rare people who've been very pro Harshit Rana for all formats.
I even blasphemed saying that I don't see why Harshit Rana cannot bowl like Hazelwood.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
We've actually been among Harshit's biggest supporters. I in particular, but yeah, Sid and KK as well. So on that front, I don't think there's too much
And
surprise.
Vipraj Nagam. And
In
Vipraj
fact,
Nagam.
Vipraj Nigam is a different situation. Vipraj Nigam, I think people are becoming suspicious of my relationship with
We
him.
have two bosses. मेरे
Yeah.
दोनों boss.
No, but with Harshit, to be fair, I even remember telling Ronak Kapoor when he was initially selected for the T20 for the Asia Cup that I think maybe Harshit at number 8 is a possibility. And Ronak, vehemently poo-pooed it. Of course, Ronak has connections that we don't. And at that time, the thinking was that Harshit cannot bat at number 8, but that's very quickly changing. I mean, still maybe in India's best combination, he would be down at a number 9 possibly. But I mean, even if he's at number 9, this kind of batting definitely will benefit India. He's that one player who we've been talking about for so long, a fast bowler who can at least do something with a bat like a Mark Wood, that kind of player. Harshit seems to be growing into that. And of course, with the ball, he's having an impact still, can go for runs at times, but has always got these wicket taking options. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people on social media now suddenly, apologizing to Harshit or, saying that people have been silenced by his performances. But I think at least on this podcast, we've always seen the potential. So, not that much surprise from us at least, right, Sid, that he's now coming good.
Uh, Enough patting ourselves on the back. He's, yeah. No, he's got the ingredients, which is what I felt from the day one of Perth's debut in Test cricket. That he has the height, he's able to bowl 150. Oh, sorry, not 150, 140. He has the height, the release is good. Uh, After that, you need fitness and strength and hard work, which which never ends, which you just have to keep doing and just keep adding these little tricks here and there because there's a new slower ball comes in every season nowadays. There's this new slower ball where you the kind of slow ball that Dilara Fernando used to bowl, not grip the ball as
Split finger.
tightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not really splitting the fingers, but holding it slightly
Yeah.
loose.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, so
Zach Folks bowls a interesting one as well.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
just stay if you want to play these shorter formats, stay in touch with all these things and just stay fit and strong. And otherwise, he has the ingredients. And I mean, he could be the new Ishant Sharma kind of bowler because Ishant Sharma also had the height and 140 plus pace. He can be the new Ishant Sharma for India,
Yeah.
who can also hit sixes.
Yeah. Yeah. Can he never mind. Can he play that Mohali kind of innings? However,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
which but which is the question he's kind of answering, that yeah, he kind of has those smarts and like
yeah, yeah,
with the bat. And another thing which really impressed me in this series and over recent months as well is that, like, when I first started watching him and all that, I thought, okay, in white ball cricket he's going to be a largely middle overs death kind of operator,
yeah. True.
right? With the new ball, like he's bowling that fuller length, he's getting seam movement both ways, he's swinging it as well. He caused Devon Conway all kinds of issues right through the series, made him worry about both his edges. That's he looked like almost complete package just in terms of skills. Certain raw edges will, of course, with time, with more like fine tuning, will get better. Like sometimes he tends to give width sometimes quite a bit, and that especially in the third ODI happened frequently. But these are things he'll get better at. And with the batting, I mentioned it right at the start as well, right? You look at him, you think he's like this muscle-bound guy who's going to smash everything. But does he have the other parts to his game? He does. He does have it, right? Maybe technically he works on a few things, learns to play the moving ball better, spin better, all that. But there is clearly like so much potential in him, and you can see why this team management has backed him so much. Also, why they've backed him but not picked him, say, in test matches after those first two games that they picked him in Australia, where, there are certain deficiencies that he's got to do a lot of work on before, he becomes a regular option in test cricket as well. But as far as white ball cricket goes, 100% like, behind like his selection and like him being part of the first 11 as well with the other Bumrah, of course, is going to be there. So the other parts of that bowling attack, uh, work around depending on format, depending on which other all-rounders are playing, etc.
Yeah. Okay, clearly we've all really missed doing this podcast because in the first one of the year we've gone like over 1 hour 20 minutes I think already. So we'll wrap up at this point. Overall, yeah, I mean a series loss for India, definitely some concerns there, some players that they'd be looking at, whether they are in the plans going ahead, but also a lot of positives. So yes, KK has one parting
Just
point
one
on the
last one,
series. Yes.
which is that just wanted to mention just at least his name and the fact that he comes back, not comes back, but like he plays against India and again he's a beast like Kyle Jamieson. I thought he
Yeah.
had a spectacular series right through. From that, little mini collapse in the first ODI to that ball to Shubman Gill. So I was both pleased and I'm like, why does this always happen only against India? Uh,
Yeah. I got trolled massively because in our pre-auction coverage, I had mentioned Kyle Jamieson as one of the players who might surprisingly go for a decent sum, and people were really having a go at me. And then, of course, they were full of mirth when he went unsold, and then he was the last player bought. I said, okay, he was at least bought, but maybe this is why, because whenever he plays against India, he looks like a world beater. So I was like, okay, surely he'll find a good price at the auction, but. Yeah, I
and what a
mean, I guess.
luxury that he bats at number 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That was also my thinking. The guy can bat, he can hit big shots, he's got this height. And then of course RCB fans were quick to tell me that apparently Jacob Duffy is a better version of Kyle Jamieson. So we'll look out for him in the IPL. But yeah, I mean a lot of New Zealand players, the sort of
yeah,
usual
man. New
suspects
Zealand.
doing
Yeah, New Zealand. There was so much to be impressed about. Yeah, the real beast himself is Michael Bracewell. They call him the Beast. I mean, we were just talking about Washington Sundar and saying, oh, as an off spinner, he'll struggle to play. Look at this guy, man. He's the captain. His experience is only 40 ODIs, and he's an off spinner. And oh, some of the sixes that he hit. What a player he is. Glenn Phillips, I am just in awe of Glenn Phillips. Not for his fielding, athleticism, all that is there, but just the hunger for improvement in that guy. I've been seeing it from 2023 World Cup. So when New Zealand come for training, he kind of before you go into the net, I've seen him like just come to the middle on the side pitch, stick one stump in, and he's just bowled 7, 8, 10 overs at that single stump with just one guy wearing a baseball mitt returning the ball back. So he's not even bothering the rest of the team, and he just kept working at it until he just became good at it. Which is incredible for somebody to reach international level as a wicket-keeper batter and then fashion himself into an off spinner. Oh, just hats off to him. And finally, I'm glad that you know he's not one of those guys. It's very easy, a slightly condescending kind of praise, for the triers, for the guys who run after every ball, and they kind of end up getting this kind of patronizing praise for it. And I was glad that he did it with the bat, and like that's his primary role, and he came good in that, and he scored 100, which was uh, in hindsight, it was such a mature 100 that he scored, where he kind of recognized that this pitch is stopping a little. It's not the 400 track that Indore generally rolls out. And then after that, to have the skill to be able to hit some of those sixes, I'm really in awe of him. And Daryl Mitchell, of course, we have spoken about him. So yeah, really. And Jaden Lennox, what a debut! What a debut series to come to India, and uh, you know, uh, in full front of full houses, just silencing them with with the wickets, and just maybe this is something to end with. Yesterday, after the match got over, it was after midnight. It was quarter past midnight here in India when Daryl Mitchell and Michael Bracewell were put up for a Zoom call with New Zealand only media and Cricinfo, because we don't have a nationality. We were invited also at 12:15 a.m. after winning the series. They were nicely still in their lovely black kit, uh, sitting in a bed with a camera setup, just like not much more sophisticated than mine right now. And yeah, and it was I it was really difficult to get something out of it because they were so self-effacing. And then I eventually asked Mitchell how it felt, hitting so many boundaries and silencing this crowd, which is one of the unique phenomenons of Indian crowds. They they don't boo, they don't hate you, they just go quiet, they just become indifferent. It's like, you walked into a library or something when somebody hits a boundary. And Mitchell says, no, we're used to that. It's very nice and quiet in our grass banks. It was like playing in New Zealand. So, yeah, I mean, really, really well played. And it's not them just being the nice New Zealanders. They really plan really well, and they have the skill, they have the depth, and these kind of results will make some of the players who might be considering those kind of half and half contracts and spending more time in France, they will miss being part of this group, and hopefully that keeps happening for them, and it's good for cricket all over the world.
Yeah, that's a great note to end on. Obviously, a massive, achievement for New Zealand. Like I said in the beginning, they've now won both the Test series and the ODI series in India. That'll go down as one of the, big achievements in recent times. So we'll see all of you on the next episode of Rock and Roll It. Until then, please remember, be kind, be empathetic, be responsible, and always say no to quick singles. They're very overrated.
TV umpire to director, we have a review. Can you rock and roll it for me, please?